So let's talk about radio frequency penetration testing. So this is all about me. I'm a penetration tester, security enthusiast, having 3 years of experience. So most of the time I do spend my time on radio frequency analysis and web application security, mobile application security pen testing, etc. Okay.
Sir,
So
కొంచెం
now,
sir,
so
sir,
now,
your voice is background.
okay. Hello. Now it's audible.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and please mute yourself as well. Okay. Okay. So why we need to learn about radio frequency penetration testing? If you see around, just surrounding you, there are lots and lots of communication is going on. Okay. For example, Wi-Fi communication, Bluetooth communication. Okay. And your normal telephone communication. I mean, from your mobile, whatever you're talking and messaging, everything. Okay. All those communication, everything is going on the radio frequency. Okay. So, but there are lots of people, they won't even caring about, the security of RF. So that's why I want to present this session. So let's start from first. I mean, I wanted to start from very base. Okay. So what is signal? Before that, there is a wave. Yeah. What is a wave? So wave is nothing but a vibration that carries your energy. So whenever you talks itself, the wave is generating. Okay. So it's based upon the energy which you are giving while you're talking. So based upon your energy, the wave is just generating it. Okay. So the wave having lots and lots of properties. Let's talk about those properties first. So a basic wave contains two sides of the wave. One is positive side and another one is negative side. If you see this is a complete wave. Okay. The above side, this is a positive side, and the below side is completely the negative side. And the wave having different of properties as well. One is amplitude and trough, crest, wavelength. Let's talk about this first. So what is meant by amplitude? It's just about the height of the wave. Okay. And what is meant by crest? Okay. The positive side of the wave is crest, the top side, and the negative side of the wave is called a trough. Okay. And what is meant by wavelength? If you see that in a wave, so this is the first peak of the wave, and this is the second peak of the wave. Okay. The distance between first peak of the wave and the second peak of the wave is called wavelength. So these are the different of properties of a wave. So I want you guys to understand about this. So next one, what is signal? So signal is nothing but the combinations of waves is called a signal. Okay. So it basically contains some information to transmit. Okay. So signal is nothing but it contains some information to transmit to the radio frequency. That's called a signal. Okay. So what is meant by carrier signal? Let's talk about that. This is very, very important one. Okay. Without carrier signal, you could not even transmit any data to the radio frequency. Why? Okay. So the carrier signals are carrier waves, we can say. So these are the empty waves which is always floating on the air. Okay. That carrier waves does not contain any information basically. It's an empty wave. Okay. So the name, if you see that, the name of the wave is called carrier wave or carrier signal. Carrier represents it's carrying the information from one place to another place. That's why it's called carrier wave or carrier signal, we can say. Okay. So if I want to send any data, let's consider, hello, I'm Muthu, this is your data. Okay. I want to send this data to the radio frequency. So I have to use the carrier signal to send my data to the radio frequency. So what I'm doing is I'm just hiding my data behind the carrier wave and I'm sending that data to the radio frequency. That's called imposing. See that? Imposing the input data to the transmit, that's it. Okay. So I'm hiding the data behind the carrier signal. Okay. So basically, it's not only hiding, it's a kind of a security only. Okay. Kind of a security, but not exactly the security. Okay. So I'm hiding the information behind the carrier signal. So what carrier signal is doing, it's just carrying my information from one place to another place. That's why it's called a carrier signal. Okay. So without carrier signal, you could not even transmit any data to the radio frequency. So first you have to understand this. So that's why I have talk about this one. Okay. So now you guys understand about carrier signal, right? Let's go to the next one, modulation and demodulation. So I have talked about the last slide, right? What is mean the, so what is the last slide about carrier signal? So what I'm doing with that carrier signal, I'm hiding the data, what I'm going to transmit behind the carrier signal, and I'm sending the data. So that process is called modulation. I'm hiding the data right behind the carrier signal. That process is called modulation. So modulation usually happening on the sender side. Demodulation will happen on the receiver side. Okay. So what is my modulation? Just hiding the data behind the carrier signal is called a modulation. Demodulation is like process of retrieving the data from the input signal. From the carrier signal is called a demodulation. So modulation will happen on sender side, who is sending the message. Demodulation will happen on the receiver side, who is receiving the data. That's it. So our normal mobile is also having a modulator and demodulator inbuilt. That's why it can able to receive the data, it can able to send the data while you talking on the mobile. Okay. So that is the basic term of modulation and demodulation. So there are different types of modulations are there. So that I am giving as a work, you guys just judge on those things. Okay. Okay. So what are the other terms you have to learn before proceeding about the radio frequency penetration testing? So what is mean by sample rate, quadrature, demodulator, interpolation, decimation? Okay. So before going to that, I want you guys to understand about what is mean by sampling. Okay. So I already told you, right? Whatever the communication is going on the radio frequency, this full of analog signals. Okay? So if you want to see the analog signal, you have to convert the analog signal to the digital signal. Then only you can do whatever modification, everything you can do with. After once you modify to the digital signal only, you can do the modification, everything. Okay. So the process of converting the analog signal to the digital signal is called sampling. Okay. So now comes to the topic sample rate. What is sample rate? Sample rate represents the speed of converting the analog signal to the digital signal. It's called a sample rate. Okay. So now you guys understand, right? It's all about the speed of converting your analog signal to digital signal. It's called a sample rate. Okay. And the next topic is interpolation. Interpolation is like I'm increasing the speed of the sampling rate. Okay. I'm increasing the speed of converting the analog signal to digital signal. It's called interpolation. Decimation is like I'm just decreasing the speed of converting the analog signal to digital signal. It's called decimation. Okay. So these are the terms which is very useful for while you building the building block for demodulating FM signal, Wi-Fi signal, Bluetooth signals. For those things, these are the very important terms. So you have to understand this one. Okay. That's why I'm explaining this. So what is mean by correlation modulator? That I'm giving exercise for you. Note down all these points. So you have to work on this topic as well. Okay. Give me a minute, guys. Yes, I'm back. Let's go to the radio frequency signal processing. So if you are capturing any data from the air, so in the air, lots of communication is going on. So like our telephone communication, our Wi-Fi communication, Bluetooth communication. So those all through the radio frequency. Okay. So in order to process those radio frequency, okay, you need to set up your own lab first of all. Okay. So what are the devices you need? So those are the devices I have listed here. You need modulators, demodulators. I have already explained about what is meant by modulator and demodulator, right? Modulator for hiding the data, demodulator for retrieving the data, receiving and sending. So what is meant by amplifiers? Amplifying is just like boosting your signal. Okay. And filters. What is meant by filters? Filters having like low pass filter, high pass filter, bass band filter. Okay. So just read about those things as well. And what is meant by signal generators? Okay. So signal generator is just like it will give the additional signal to your input signal in order to balance the output basically. Okay. So that's called a local oscillator. So you have to read about the local oscillator as well before going into those concepts. Okay, then we can go for transceivers. Okay, so transceiver you have to purchase first of all SDR. Okay, so there are different types of SDRs are there that we will come back in the next slides or something. Okay, I have explained in the end of the slide, I think so. Okay. Let's go to the further things. Okay, but these are all the hardwares basically: modulators, demodulators, amplifiers, filters, signal generator, transceivers. Okay, if you want to set up all these things and if you want to buy all these hardwares, I think so you have to around spend 1.5 lakhs to start these things. But where we can go for as a researcher? Okay, so that's why the researchers come back with the software called the GNU Radio Companion software. Okay, in this GNU Radio Companion software, whatever I have set here, the hardwares, those things and all, you can simulate it there, like modulators, demodulators, amplifiers, filters, signal generators. These all things you can able to simulate it, except the transceiver. Okay, because transceiver is, of course, you need as a hardware. Okay, so that you have to must spend the money, you have to purchase it. Okay, guys. So let's go for the further things. So that's what I want to explain about this here. I mean, GNU Radio Companion. Okay, I will give the link. I have attached the link, all the things on there as a resource, so you can go there and you can download it. Okay, let's go to GNU Radio Companion. So you don't need to download separately this GNU Radio software. You can download a OS called Pen2 operating system. By default, that comes with GNU Radio Companion software. So basically, that Pen2 operating system is designed for RF-based penetration testing only. You can find a lot of things, and not on one more point is called, there is one more OS called signal intelligence, that's shortly called SIGINT. Okay, I will show you the thing as well. SIGINT, the OS name called SIGINT. Just search about on the Google, you can get the OS file. Okay, and in this SIGINT, there are already some some built-in programs are there to hack into the radio frequencies. Okay, so just Google about it and work on that. Okay, so let's go to the further things. So where and all we are using RF as a communication. So for example, I have listed some communications here. You see that car door unlocking mechanism. So nowadays the smart cars having a car key as a key fob. So the car key as a remote key we can call as a key fob basically. Okay, so when we press that car key button, it automatically sends the signals to the receiver. The receiver is present on the car, so it basically receives that particular signal. It get unlocked, the door get unlocked, so you can open and get into it. And another thing is RFID authentication. So most of the company they do use the RFID authentication to open the door. So they do give a card basically. So you have to tap that card on the RFID receiver, then it will get authenticate. Your door will open. Okay, so that's called RFID authentication. I'll explain about RFID authentication as well in the further slides. Okay, there are satellite communication. Satellite communication also still working on that. Through RF only. So basically, you can go for that international space research satellites and all working on the radio frequency. There are different satellites working on the radio frequency only, and aircraft communication. Okay, of course, they are using a radio frequency to transmit the information about the cloud, weather, everything to the respective stations through the radio frequency only. Okay, and then Wi-Fi communication. So Wi-Fi communication is also going through the radio frequency only. So there are lots and lots of attacks also you can through the radio frequency to the Wi-Fi communication. You can jam it and you can play with a lot of things. So Wi-Fi basically works on 2.4 gigahertz. So if you create a noise resource and passing on that particular band, that entire Wi-Fi communication get jammed. So those are things are possible. And GPS communication, exactly, I have to talk about on this. So there are lots of GPS tracker which receives the GPS signal from the Galileo satellites and one more satellites also there. So it receives that particular GPS location, latitude and longitude information from the GPS satellite to the respective cars through the radio frequency only. So you can tap that information, you can modify the latitude, longitude to some other location, and you can fake the location basically. Fake the, GPS spoofing I'm talking about. So let's go to the further things. RF in telecommunication. Yeah. So in telecommunication, which means like whatever we are talking on the mobile, everything comes into the telecommunication, like 2G, 3G, 4G communication we are using, right? So these communications also, whatever data we are talking about, call, SMS, everything going on through the radio frequency only. You know one thing, 2G, 3G, 4G, every generation having one vulnerability. We will talk about those vulnerability in the further slides. Okay. So I just want to you guys to aware about telecommunication working in the radio frequency. Next. So what are the parts of telecommunication? If you want to pen test the telecommunication, there are two different parts. One is air interface communication, another one is signaling communication. And I want to be clear on one of point here. I'm actually my focus on only on the air interface part only. I'm not into the signaling communication. And in signaling, there are different signal types are there, like SS7, Citron, diameter protocols are there. So I hope you guys have cared about S7 hacking, those things and all. But those things comes under the signaling communication. I'm well aware about only on the air interface communication through the radio frequency. So I usually do pen testing or only learning only about the radio frequency, not into the signaling part. So I just want to clear about those points. Okay, so let's get into the next one. So here we are only talking about the radio frequency assessment only. I mean, what are the vulnerability can comes into the radio frequency, not on the signaling part. Okay. So let's go to the further slide. And this slide is gonna talk about what are the requirements to start with the air-based security assessment. Okay. So you have to understand about the architecture of each and every generation on the telecommunication, like 2G, 3G, 4G. What is their architecture and how every node is getting connected to each other? Okay, and what kind of interface they are using? Okay, and what kind of authentication they are using? So those things and all you have to understand about it. So note on these points. If you are well on these things only, you can understand whatever communication is going on or whatever encryption is going on that particular thing. Okay. Okay, and then function of each nodes and ARFCN number, MNC, MCC, LAC. I will talk about this number as well in the further slides. Okay, so just now for us only read about it: ARFCN, MNC, MCC, LAC. And ARFCN number is like uplink plus downlink is called ARFCN number. Okay, and you have to have some kind of logical thinking mind to understand and penetration testing of GSM, UMTS, and LT. Okay, you know, guys, there are lots of logical based vulnerability also you can find on the telecommunication. You know, there are lots and lots of nodes which may misconfigured, so you can find easily bugs on each and every nodes inside of the telecommunication. Okay, so here I wanted to talk about what is meant by uplink and downlink. So you know, guys, like a base station, we can say like tower. Everywhere you can see there are lots of towers, right? So those, as a technical term, we can call the towers as a base station. Okay, or we can say like BTS. Okay, so BTS represents 2G tower is called BTS, 3G tower is called node B, 4G tower is called E node B. So these are the technical terms of the towers. Okay, but here let's start with BTS. Okay, BTS is represents the tower for 2G. Okay, and so ARFCN number. ARFCN number contains the value for uplink and downlink frequency. So what is meant by uplink? So let's see that whatever you're talking, first your communication will go to the respective tower. The tower, so your communication going from your mobile to the tower, right? So through one frequency that's called uplink frequency. The communication from your mobile to the tower is called uplink. Okay, and the communication from the tower to the mobile is called downlink. So uplink is represents from your mobile to tower, downlink represents from the tower to your mobile. Simple. Okay, let's go to the next one. What are the attacks are possible on the RF based communication? Okay, let's talk about this one, a replay attack. So let's consider I have a car. Okay, okay, here I assume as I am an attacker. So I'm going to assume you guys as a victim. Okay, so let's consider you guys having a car. So as a owner of your car, you have a car key in your hand. So you are pressing that button. The signal will go. The signal which can enable the car door to unlock. Okay, so signal is going from your remote to that respective car, and the respective car having a receiver that can able to receive your signal from your car key. Okay, so what as an attacker I do is I do have a SDR in my hand. Okay, so first of all, before going to hack that car key frequency, first of all I have to find your car key working on which frequency. Okay, so it depends upon, there are different car works on different frequency to unlock your car. So let's consider there are Benz, BMW. So every brand of car works different frequency to unlock your car door basically. Okay, so first of all I have to find it what frequency is using. Okay, so once I found that particular frequency, in which frequency that car key signal is going on, okay, then I have to use my SDR. So SDR, first of all I will explain about SDR. What is meant by SDR means, it's just like a transceiver. Okay, so it can receive the data from the from the air. I mean, like it can able to receive the RF data, or it can able to transmit the RF data. Okay, so it's just like a transceiver. Okay, so it's called SDR. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tune this SDR to the particular frequency where that car key is communicating. Okay, so once I tune the SDR to that particular frequency, once the car, when the car owner press that car key, that particular data going on the particular frequency, I can capture that data on the particular frequency basically. So what I do is I capture the data and I store into my system basically. Okay, so he can unlock the car here, that owner can go where, and then once he come back he can stop the car and he can go back, right? So once he went, what I do is I can able to release that what I have captured the data in my system. So once I released it, that particular signal goes to that particular car receiver and car get unlocked. I can go and take the car. So that's called replay attack. What I'm doing is here I'm just capturing the data, the signal which is sent by the car owner, and I'm using for some other purposes. After some time I'm replaying the same signal again. That's why it's called a replaying attack. Okay, so how to prevent the replay attack? So replay attack can be prevented by the rolling code option. So just like you are receiving the OTP number on your mobile, right, to log into your Facebook account or log into a Gmail account. That's why here the same concept comes to the picture. The technical term is completely different. It's called a rolling code. Okay, so that rolling code can be used for only once. Okay, if you use the same signal one more time, it won't work, because when the car owner presses that car key fob to unlock the car, the radio frequency data is going to that particular car receiver. That signal contains the rolling code. Okay, to prevent this replay attack basically. You got my point? So that rolling code is like a unique one. Okay, so if I captured the same signal as I did before, okay, I'm capturing the same signal by using the SDR. I'm tuning to that particular frequency where that car key is working. Okay, so I'm capturing the data. I'm just trying to replay it, but now it won't work because it having the rolling code. I already said the rolling code can be used only for only once. If I repeat it, it won't work. Okay. No, actually, here there is only one frequency which can be used for both unlocking and unlocking mechanism. Okay, so that's why I have answered your question, Mr. VPR. Yeah, so that's what it works on the replay attack. Okay, so basically, I have told you, right, in the receiver side, in the car, it having one device called immobilizer. Okay, that what is the function of that immobilizer means? So the immobilizer only it's actually check whether that receiving signal contains the rolling code or not. Okay, so what if that immobilizer device misconfigured? So still you can bypass it. So these are the logical based bugs you can find on the cars. Okay, through the radio frequency. So how rolling code is generating? It's not by our side. Actually, it's based upon when they creating the key fob itself. They do program it to generate a code on the radio frequency basically. Okay, it's just like a OTP number. That's it. So what about the DOS attack on the receiver? So let's consider this one. This is a very interesting one. So let's take the same example what we have took before, the car unlocking mechanism. So the car owner is there. He is trying to unlock the car by using the same car key fob things. So when he presses the button, the signal is going to the respective car receiver. But at the same time, attacker what he is doing is the car having the respective receiver, right? So the attacker sending the huge amount of RF signals or RF data, or we can say as a noise. So he is sending the noise signal to that particular receiver, and he is making that particular frequency is always busy on that. Okay, so it's that particular receiver got jammed at that time basically. So even the respective car owner couldn't able to unlock the car. So here what happening is that's called a DOS attack on the receiver. One minute. Hello guys, I will ask you all the questions at the end of your presentation. Okay. So now we will resume our all the slides. Okay. Let's we go to the after some time. Okay. Done. Now, and we can able to transmit our custom data on the reserved frequency. So let's consider FM radio, okay, or any kind of communication, Bluetooth communication, anything. So let's take example of RF, I mean radio, I mean FM radio. So which is works on 93.5 FM, anything. So if I take like that particular frequency, already someone that is reserved for the radio communication, and the respective station is transmitting the particular data on that particular frequency basically, right? But so what attacker will do is attacker creates his own custom data, like any kind of data or audio data or a simple song or any kind of noise he can create, and he can transmit that particular data on that particular reserved frequency. So the receiver, intended receiver, can able to hear what attacker is transmitting basically. Okay. So here you will ask a question like how much distance we can able to hear what attacker is transmitting. It's based upon your SDR signal strength. Okay. So you can go for USRP. USRP is like 1.5 lakhs to purchase it, but you can perform the same attack through using HackerOff itself. You can do the same attack what I am talking about. HackerOff is like 25,000, so you can purchase it if you want to support for the transmitting purposes. Okay. Then, so what attacker will do is like once he tap the radio frequency communication, he is trying to understand the encoding type. And so in order to decrypt the, in order to decode the communication, as an attacker, he have to build the decoder by using the GNU Radio Companion software. So once he builded the decoding block, and he can able to decode the communication. Okay. So I will talk about the GNU Radio after some time as well. Okay. Okay. Now attacks on telecommunication, which works on the radio frequency. Okay. So if you see that IMSI number, let's talk about what is meant by IMSI number. Okay. It's like mobile subscriber identity. Okay. So how I can say that? So let's consider I'm having a mobile. Okay. So inside my mobile, I have a SIM card. So every SIM card having a unique number is called a IMSI number. Okay. So when you connect to the network, how you are getting authenticated? So your SIM card getting authenticated as a user, as a subscriber, how you are getting authenticated means by using this IMSI number. Got my point, right? So those authentication, everything we need to communicate through the IMSI number only. Okay. So IMSI number is like a unique identifier. So if I got your IMSI, I can able to tell you who you are. So it's called IMSI number. Okay. And there are different kind of attacks. There are like rock base station attacks, downgrade attacks, DOS attacks, active attacks. So these are the attacks we can perform on the telecommunication like 2G, 3G, 4G. Let's talk about each and every attack now. What is IMSI number? So as I already explained, it's just like a unique identity for every user. So this IMSI number is imposed on the SIM card. So when you purchase a SIM card, if you use the SIM card reader, you can read it basically what is the IMSI number exactly present inside the SIM card. Okay. So MC number basically contain combinations of MCC code and MNC code and MSIN code. So what is MCC? MCC is nothing like mobile country code, we can say. Okay. So every country in the telecommunication, they do have a MCC code and MNC code. Okay. So MCC represents mobile country code. So let's talk about in MCC, what is the MCC for India? 404, 405, 406. So you can simply go to the Google. If you are trying to attack some other countries, people in the sense, you have to search for that country's MCC. That's it, simple. So you just type on the Google MCC for India or MCC for USA, you will get the numbers. And what is MNC? MNC represents mobile network code. Depends upon your operator. Every operator have the MNC of their own number, like MNC for Airtel, like MNC for Geo, MNC for Etisalat, MNC for Do, like that. Okay. So it's based upon. Then MSIN is like a sequence serial number. It's like a random number, it will be generated, and it's actually imposed inside the SIM card. Okay. So there are some vulnerability based on SIM card as well. You can clone the SIM card as well, but if the SIM card using the old level algorithm. So just note on this point, the SIM card which is using COMP version 1, that is vulnerable to SIM cloning. You can actually clone this particular SIM card and you can go ahead of it. But nowadays, they have patched this vulnerability, so you could not clone it. And in 4G as well, there are some possibility of cloning is there. I will talk about those things and in further sessions. Okay. In today's session, I'm not going into any deep technical things and all. So I am explaining right now. Okay. What I'm taking this session is I'm just going through it. What are the possibility of vulnerability that can comes into the RF based communication? And I'm explaining it. That's it. Okay. So this is just like all about the introduction. I'm not going to any deep technical things. Okay. For the technical things and all, I'm taking the further session. Give me 1 minute, guys. I'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm back. Okay. So I have explained about the MC number, right? Now you guys having good idea about MC number. So MC number is like a unique identifier for every subscriber. Okay. So Yes, guys. So let's talk about IMSI catcher now. So how I can able to come to know the IMSI number of other persons? Okay. So let's talk about IMSI catcher. So that's why there is an attack called IMSI catcher now. So let's go with that. So IMSI catcher is nothing but like what I'm doing is as an attacker, I'm creating a fake tower basically. Okay. Instead of the real tower, I'm creating a fake tower in my system basically. So once I created the fake tower, what I'm doing is I'm spoofing all the required parameters from the real uh, tower to the fake tower. So I'm just actually pretending like a real tower. So once the target mobile comes very close to the fake tower which I have created, it will get connected to my system. Okay. It's not about only the MCC number. There are lots and lots of numbers we have to clone it, like MCC, MNC, LAC. Okay, so these are the respective required parameters in order to spoof a tower. Okay, okay, let's go to it. Uh, I will explain about each and every numbers in the, at the end of the session. Okay, MCC and everything. I will explain now as well. No worries, no problem. So let's go to that. So as an attacker, what I'm doing is I'm creating a malicious tower, which is actually looks like a real tower. So once the target comes near to the fake tower which I have created, that mobile it automatically report their IMSI number to my fake base station. Okay. So this is how I'll get to know about all the IMSI numbers of the target people. Okay. You want to zoom the pic? They could not see this screen. So just let me know, guys. You can see the full screen of mine, or you are seeing the chatting everything. Just let me know on the chat, please. You can see the full screen. Yes, I can see the full screen. Okay, then I'll continue that. So I hope you understand, right? So in IMSI catcher, as an attacker, what he is doing is he's just creating a fake tower that actually exactly looks like a real tower. So he attacker is just presenting like a real tower. So actually here the weakness is of the mobile engineering only. So mobile engineering, like uh, whenever the mobile, it always looks for a better range tower basically. Okay. So as an attacker, if I want to attack someone, I have to be very close to the target person. Okay. So once I created the fake tower, let's consider the target guy using 2G or 4G. So let's consider he's using 4G. Okay. So I'm creating a fake 4G tower that's very near to him. So the distance you can calculate by it depends upon the strength of your SDR what you're having. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a fake tower and I'm very close to my target person. So the mobile mechanism is it automatically get connected to the tower which have a good signal. Okay. So the thing is, if you see here, I'm very close to the attacker, and in my system I have a tower. I have created the tower. So from my tower only, the target people can get the huge signal, right? Instead of he getting the signal from the real tower. So automatically the mobile my fake base station, what I have created, and the mobile will report the IMSI number of that mobile to my fake base station to authenticate, right? So mobile, in order to authenticate to the system, in order to connect, authenticate to the network, it should release the IMSI number to the node basically. So what mobile is doing means it's once it's connected to my fake BTS, it's releasing its IMSI number to my fake BTS. So this is how the IMSI catcher works. So it's not only connector, it's not only targeting a particular people. IMSI catcher is like a phishing technique. Like we are targeting a huge amount of people. So whoever close to that my fake tower, their all mobile will get report to my fake base station. Okay, so I will get all their IMSI numbers. That's how IMSI catcher works. Okay, so if you see that, so through that I can able to come to know your sensitive information about the user who get logged into my IMSI catcher, right? So attacker can use this information to track the user's location. Yeah. So let's go to the further things. So what are the information I can get when I do the IMSI catcher? I will get the IMSI number of your particular SIM card, and I'll get LAC number, I'll get the MNC number and MCC codes. So what are these code? MCC and MNC I have already explained about it. MCC is a country code, MNC is a mobile network code. LAC I didn't explain still. LAC is like a location area code. Okay, so every location having their own code of LAC. So that will be also I can able to get it through the IMSI catcher basically. So when I get the LAC, I can able to use this LAC, MNC, MCC on a particular website. Okay, so you can use a website called opencellid.org. Just note down this website, please. I will give you the website here. Cellid.org. Okay, so this is the website you can use. There you have to give the LAC number and MNC and MCC. If you give these three values as an input to this website, it will tell you the latitude and longitude of the attacker. Okay, I mean of the target people, whoever you have received the IMSI numbers. Yeah, I have sent the website name. Please check on the chat. opencellid.org. Okay, so let's go to the further things. Okay, so what is mean by rock base station attack? So rock base station attack, it's like just the extension of the previous attack. I'm just extending the previous attack. That's it's called a rock base station attack. Okay, so IMSI catcher, it's only can do capturing the IMSI numbers. Okay, so in rock base station, what attacker is doing is attacker creating, if you see this diagram carefully, so attacker creating a fake base station inside of the car. Okay, so he sits in between the mobile target user and the legitimate tower. So whatever the communication this mobile is generating, first it will come through my fog base station, and then I am redirecting those communication to the real base station. You got my point, right? So I'm just here doing the MITM attack, man in the middle attack. So whatever the communication the target user is doing, first it comes to me, and then I'll forward those communication to the real tower. Got it right? Yes. So MITM represents man in the middle attack. So attacker creating a rock base station, and then so here the purpose of doing the rock base station attack is I want to see whatever you are talking and whatever you are messaging as a clear text. So whenever the attacker create a rock base station, he do create the rock base station as a 2G only. Okay, why he is doing the 2G? Because in 2G it's having a huge vulnerability. It is very critical one. It's called has no mutual authentication. The GSM doesn't have a mutual authentication, which means the mobile can connect to my fake base station. The base station didn't need to prove to the mobile station like I'm your legitimate base station. So that is the vulnerability here. You got my point. Mobile can authenticate to my fake base station, but my fake base station, I don't need to prove to the mobile station like I'm your legitimate base station. So here, the weakness is there is no mutual authentication on GSM. Okay. So attacker using this vulnerability as an advantage, and he is creating a fake base station, and he's just sitting between the mobile station, I mean mobile and the legitimate base station. That's it. So you can do this rock base station attack by using a tool called OpenBTS, okay, or you can use 8 and 8BTS. goes in the completely clear text. If I select A5/1, it use some kind of algorithm to encrypt your communication. You got my point? Okay. So this particular algorithm to encrypt the communication, which is decided by whom? It is decided by your base station. Okay. So here in the ROG base station attack, what attacker is doing is, once attacker created the fake base station. Okay. So if I am very close to the victim person, what victim will do? So as per I have explained the weakness of a mobile, the mobile which is always connecting to the tower, which tower having a great signal. Okay. So as per that concept, I am very close to the victim person, so victim will connect it to my fake base station, right? So once it's connected, that mobile will report to my fake base station, like, I'm supporting these are the encryption algorithm. I can use 2G, I can use 3G, I can use 4G, and these are the algorithms I can support, like that it will say. Okay. So what attacker attacker base station do is, attacker base station tell to the target mobile, like, you don't need to use 4G, you don't need to use 3G, just use 2G and use the algorithm for encryption as A5/0. So the mobile is always listening about what base station is saying about. Okay. So mobile accepting that, okay, I do go for A5/0. So how this fake base station compromising the mobile node means, I could not support the 4G algorithm. I could not support 3G algorithm. I can only support 2G connection. And as well as I can support only A5/0 algorithm to encrypt my communication. So which means the mobile should mobile, of course, mobile should use that same algorithm to encrypt the communication. A5/0 I have already explained. There is no encryption on that particular algorithm. So of course, it go to choose about A5/0 algorithm, and it will establish the connection between the mobile station and the fake base station. Okay. And then whatever he is talking, everything, I am forwarding those communication to the legitimate base station. So whatever the victim talks or whatever he's sending the SMS, everything will come to me as a plain text. So this is what ROG base station attack works. Got my point, guys? Let's go to the next one. Downgrade attacks. Yes. This is the cool thing. So downgrade attacks can be done in two different ways. So let's consider you could not jam on 4G basically. So let's talk about we can do the 4G jamming as well, but I will it has more and more practical things. So as a practical in coming session. So in this session we are talking about only the 3G communication jamming attacks. Okay. So in 3G downgrade, what I am doing is, let's consider if the target person uses in the mobile like 3G and 2G only, like that. Okay. So what attacker will do is, attacker will create a jammer and he will perform the jamming attack on that particular frequency where 3G communication is going on. 3G frequency is working. So attacker will send the huge amount of random radio frequency signal on the 3G frequency, so that it will occupy the complete 3G frequency band. Okay. So the target user could not use the 3G communication as of now. So what mobile will do, target mobile? We have already selected 3G or 2G only. So it automatically go to the 2G communication. And then in 2G, I have set up the, so once it comes to 2G, so we have degraded successfully, right? So once it comes to 2G, as I have explained the old attack, which is ROG base station attack, attacker can simply, if it's 2G means I don't need to go for ROG base station attack itself. In 2G, there are lots of decryption method also available. So if you once extracted KC and TIMC number from the target mobile, you can easily decrypt it. And there are lots of tools as well, rainbow table tool as well as there to decrypt the communication. Okay. For those things and all, I will explain a bit later. Now we will come to this particular point. Okay. So we can successfully downgrade it by telling them like the fake station telling to the target user, like, I can only support the 2G communication and I can support only the A5/0 algorithm to communicate it. So you should also use the same. So the once mobile uses the same algorithm to encrypt the communication, the complete communication comes into the plain text. So whatever he is talking, messaging comes to me and comes into the plain text. That's it. Okay, guys. So this is how downgrade attack works. Okay. So once it's downgraded, you can use any kind of techniques to decrypt the 2G communication. Simple. And DOS attack. Yeah, this is very, very interesting one. So before going into DOS attack, I want to explain about inside the GSM architecture, there are lots and lots of nodes are there. Okay. So BTS is a tower and BSC is a node which can handle all the BTS on the particular location. And then from the BS, so once you trying to call someone, first your mobile is connecting to the BTS, which is the nearest tower, and BTS will send the signal to the BSC, which is a controller for every BTS. From the BSC, you will connect it to the MSC, that is the heart of the entire 2G network. From the MSC, it will connect it to HLR, which is the database of your network. And then VLR is a visitor location register, which is like wherever you're roaming, those location will get registered on VLR. And then it will go to IN network, which is like intelligent network node. And then it will go to authentication node. And then it will go to PSTN or internet. Like it will go like this, okay? Not internet here. It will go to PSTN. And SGS and GGSNs are different node to connect it for SMS and as well as call. So here I'm talking about the GSM architecture, but I don't want to go to the too technical way today, because today I'm just only explaining like what are the attacks are possible and what are the basics things. So I want you guys to spend time on the GSM architecture and understand it. My next session will be like a completely practical. We'll go for the real-time 2G call decryption, 2G message decryption and everything. Okay, guys. So now we'll go talk about this DOS attack. Okay. So, and inside the GSM architecture, there is one more node is called EIR. This is very, very important node, EIR, okay? Equipment Identifier Register. So let's consider my mobile is lost, okay? So my mobile having a unique number called, my mobile hardware device having a unique number called IMEI number. No? So we can call it IMEI number, okay? So IMEI number is like a unique number for every hardware mobile, okay? So if I reported to my respective, company like I lost my mobile, so what they will do is they will blacklisted your IMEI number on the EIR node, which is Equipment Identifier Register node. So they're on that node, they are having an option like blacklisting the IMEI number. So if it's once it's blacklisted, so whenever you try to call, you are sending your IMEI number and as well as the IMSI number through the radio frequency to the BTS basically, okay? And then BTS is sending to BSC and BSC to MSC, and MSC will send that IMEI number to the EIR register and check whether your mobile is legitimate or not. If your particular IMEI number of the mobile is blacklisted there, then it will send the reject request to your particular mobile and telling that like you are not supposed to connect to this network and you are not supposed to perform any calls. So these complete operation will happen in a fraction of second, guys. Okay, you couldn't even know it. Okay, so understand this concept. This same concept only they are using on the DOS attack. But understand this concept. Okay, I will come up now. I come up with this DOS attack. Let's get back to it. Okay, so attacker, what he is doing is attacker creating a fake base station. Okay, that's like what I have explained before. So if you see this pic here, first pic, okay, DOS attack. So there is a real, this is the real basically real tower, which is real LTE tower. This is the real LTE tower. And attacker creating a fake LTE network here, which is fake LTE tower here. So once the target person comes very close to my fake LTE tower, he will get connected. Okay. So, and the attacker, what he is doing is he is telling to the mobile, like you are an illegal cell phone. Here there is no network available for you. So you can shut down your 4G, 3G, 2G modem as well. So you could not communicate anymore to any network like that. Okay. So how it's happening means this fake LTE network sending the reject message to the mobile. This reject message, it comes from actually which node I have already talked about, right? EIR. the same message as a attacker, he is sending the same reject message to the phone. So he will think like, okay, I'm an illegal phone, I should not connect to any network anymore. You got my point? So the target mobile could not do any kind of operations anymore. That's it. So that's called DOS attack works. You got my point, right? So you have to understand about each and every node that on GSM architecture and all other architecture to understand these things, guys. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Yeah. So how to approach an RF based IoT devices? So there are lots and lots of IoT devices are there in the nowadays they're using, right? So let's consider IoT device tracking. So what they will do is they do observe all the altitude and latitude information from the GPS satellites. Once they receive this information, they do transmit those information to the user through 2G communication, which is through GSM. You got my point? Or let's consider you can take wireless doorbell. Okay, so wireless doorbell is also a device. So what it's doing is, whenever you're trying to ring the doorbell, it's sending a signal to that particular wireless doorbell basically. So that particular signal is going to the hello. Please. Sure, I will share the PPT. No worries, guys. Okay, so what at yeah, sure. So let me continue it. So when you press the wireless door lock button, so it will ring the wireless ring bell, right? So that communication is going on through the radio frequency only. You got my point, right? So first of all, before attacking these things, that IoT device, it's working on which frequency. Okay. So before going to it, I wanted to talk about one point. So the devices which is working on radio frequency, those devices should be registered on a particular term called FCC-ID database. There's one database, FCC-ID database. On this database, whatever the IoT devices which is using radio frequency, that device should be registered the complete information about the devices to this FCC-ID database. Okay. So once you go to this FCC-ID database, what information you can find means you can find the transmitting frequency, which frequency the device is using for transmitting the data. So that particular frequency you can find on the FCC-ID database. Okay. So first thing is, if you get any RF devices, any IoT device which is working on RF, first of all, gather as much information about that IoT device by using that that company manuals and everything. Just enumerate all the information, and then once you understand everything, just try to find out the FCC ID of that particular device. Okay, so you just go to Google and FCC ID space that particular brand of that device. If you search it, you will come to know the complete database of that FCC ID of that particular product. So you will come to know the transmitting frequency. So which frequency is using the device to transmitting the data. Okay. So if you found that particular frequency to device like so whatever the IoT device making the communication with the backend will go completely in the plain text. So attacker can analyze whatever the communication is going as the plain text, and he can go with play with and he can extract some valuable information, and he can do some modification as well. There are lots of things of possibility on this RF based IoT devices. So the thing is, if you find any IoT devices which works on the RF, first gather some much information by using manual and find the FCC ID. In the FCC ID, you can come to know about the frequency for transmitting, and tune your SDR to that particular frequency. Gather all the information, trying to decode it, or else go to if it's using GSM frequency, not only or 2G mechanism to transmitting the information to the user, install the fake BTS on the 2G GSM mode and select that particular frequency. So if you are very close to that particular RF device, IoT device, so IoT device will choose your malicious BTS for communication, for authentication, everything. So entire communication you can be tapped. That's it. So let's go to the next one. So references. So these are the references. You can find lots of information. So the first link is InfoSec Institute. There you can learn about complete GSM security and how you can do it and everything. My next session will be like completely practical, where you can understand about how to decrypt it and everything. So before going into those concepts, yeah, I'll talk about tools and hardwares, whatever you are needed. Okay. So SDRs having different types: USRP, RTL SDR, Blade RF, Hack RF. Okay. So each SDRs can support in different mode. Okay. So what are the modes? Half duplex mode, full duplex mode. So these are the different modes. Okay. So if you purchase RTL SDR, it can only receive. Okay. It could not do receive and transmit at the same time, because RTL SDR, it doesn't have even a capability of transmitting the data. So in order to do transmit or something, you have to buy Hack RF. So Hack RF is like a half duplex mode only. You can either transmit or receive. Okay, you could not do both at the same time. You got my point, guys. So Blade RF and USRP are the full duplex mode. So if you buy USRP, you can transmit and you can receive at the same time, because it's a full duplex mode. So in order to do telecom based attacks and all, you need Blade RF or you need USRP. So I do use USRP. So let's go to the supporting frequency. So if you buying an SDR, you have to check about like this SDR covering what kind of frequency band. Okay. So some SDRs can support only 2G frequency, some SDRs can only support 3G frequency. So depends upon that what kind of attack you are going to perform. Like depends upon that you have to purchase your SDR. Okay. And GNU Radio Companion. Okay, I have told you right on that particular link where I have mentioned, they have a tutorial as well how to use this tool. So let's consider if I want to jam a particular frequency. So in the GNE radio, there are different options are there. You can even create a noise source block. So what it do is basically it will try to generate a random radio frequency. Once you generate this much random signal, you can pass on that particular frequency which you want to jam it, like 93.5 FM or GSM communication. Find out the particular frequency, transmit the random data on the particular frequency, it will get jammed. Simple. And fast noise source. And there are lots of TCP sync, TCP UDP syncs. So these are the syncs can be used to communicate from one system to another system. You can transmit your data from one system to another system. So these are the TCP syncs can be used to combine two or more architectures. I mean, two or more blocks you can use it for the purposes. Okay. And RF spectrum analyzer. So what is meant by RF spectrum analyzer? So spectrum analyzer can show you the GUI of the entire radio spectrum analyzer from 3 Hz to 300 GHz. So it will cover the entire frequency band, and it will show that whatever the data is falling on the particular frequency. So you need the spectrum analyzer in order to recognize and what frequency the data is going or not. Okay. And if RF frequency comes, means I should talk about RFID. So RFID is a kind of a card. It contains authentication code inside, and it having a memory as well. Every RFID cards contain a memory, like 1K memory, 5K memory, like that. So those memories are separated into different sectors, and each sectors is divided into different blocks. Okay. So on those blocks, data, whatever you want to write the data, they can write the data, and those data can be accessed by keys, key A, key B, access bits. These are the different architecture comes into RFID cards. Okay. So in order to clone the RFID cards, I do use two different tools, that is Proxmark and NFC readers. These are the best tool to clone the RFID cards. And most of the RFID cards which are using in the companies and everything, those are the MIFARE cards only. So you can purchase the MIFARE cards. But in order to clone your RFID card, you need a magic cards. Okay. First learn about it. What is the magic cards and what is MIFARE cards? What is the architecture? How it behaves? Okay.
Cicada.
And what is maybe UAD, everything.
Cicada.
So you have to understand the complete RFID mechanisms and architecture in order to proceed about the RFID hacking. Okay. And
Cicada.
Samsung Mobile. Why I'm mentioning only the Samsung Mobile? Samsung mobiles, on the particular Samsung Mobile, there are particular model. There are some. It allows a particular commands called AT commands. Okay. So, for example, Samsung Mobile S3 and S6, if you purchase, okay, it having a mode called AT command mode. So, which means I can make your mobile and use it as a modem. So I can talk to your SIM card and I can extract the private key, which can use it to decrypt the entire communication, whatever you're talking. You got my point, guys. So you need the some hardware mobiles as well in order to perform the RF based penetration testing. So why we use this means, let's consider if I want to check the Geo, I mean not Geo, some other SIM which works on 2G or 3G. I'm purchasing the SIM. I'll put it on that Samsung mobile, and I will use that mobile as a modem. I'll use that USB cable, connect to that, communicating to that particular mobile. I can extract the private key which is assigned on the particular SIM and TIMC number. If I extract it, I can use those values to decrypt my entire communication. Okay, guys. And I hope I have covered everything. So visit this link, guys. The second link, what I'm talking about. Okay, this link. This link contains everything whatever I have mentioned. As a practical also they have mentioned there and everything. Okay. And today's session, what I have covered is it's full of basics and how RFID works, how RF communication works, and what are the vulnerabilities are there. So on these basics, if you have guys any doubt, you can ask. What I'm saying is links like I have not explained any exact how to perform. Okay, because today my agenda is I want you guys to understand about what are the attacks are possible and what are the vulnerabilities are presence on this. Okay, so that's why I have taken this session. So it's full of basics only. I hope I have covered everything. In my next session, I'm gonna cover about the 2G communication and what are the authentications are there, how to crack each and every keys, and how to crack the entire communication of it. Okay, so now you can post your questions, guys, only related to this particular session, what I have thought about it. Okay. Yeah, definitely I will share the PPT, guys. No
Please
worries.
send
I'll upload it. Yeah, sure. I will send it. I'll contact this event organizer. I will send that link to them. So he will share on the same post where you have seen my post. Okay.
this, sir.
Okay, guys.
Sir, how
So
to
what
stop
about
the
encryption?
attacks in RF communication, sir? Sir?
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, those softwares are you can
Sir,
find
any
it
possible?
through. Yeah, so those softwares you can find through that particular link only. I have attached in the reference, right? Go to the particular link. You can find they itself mentioned every attacks in a practical way, and as well as they have mentioned the tools as well. Okay. Or I will do one thing. I will create one more slide on this particular same PPT. I will add all the tools, whatever you guys need to be, and I will share this PPT, guys. Okay, no worries. Yeah, that's what I said, Mr. Sivam Verma. If you want to understand the encryption, first you have to understand about the authentication, how it works basically. So I want you guys to go through about basic GSM architecture and what are the nodes and everything. Kushnal Sanoop, you can find the checklist on that particular link. You can go to that Awesome Cellular Hacking. It has a huge collection of every 2G and 3G and everything. Okay. Yes. So as he Actify team
Sir?
explains, use the same email ID to send my PPT to everyone. Okay, guys. So everyone will get our things. Okay.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Yes. So yeah.
Sir, what about to
Yes.
practically to practical to the it correct, sir?
I'm not getting. Could you please post your question as chat, or could you please explain properly what you're asking about? Yeah, and don't purchase that Keysight device, man. That is it's only can clone UID. It can only clone the UID. If that A and key B is encrypted, means you could not able to clone it. So what you do is better buy the NFC.